Hello everyone. Today I will recap you a movie titled Circle. So make some tea and we'll start. 50 strangers found themselves in the same dark room. They are all completely different, nationality, age, race, nothing unites them, but today they are all in this room. Each of them stands in an individual red circle. The young girl is the first to show signs of life. She looks around and takes a step beyond the circle, after which a warning red signal is heard. The girl tries to wake up the man standing next to her, and the signal repeats. Suddenly she heard a voice asking her not to move. It was a guy standing in the back rows. He points to the car in the middle of the room and says they are being watched. Another girl wakes up. In a panic, she starts screaming and leaves his circle. A ray of light pierces her at the same moment and the girl dies. A light comes on in the room and everyone else in the room wakes up too. One guy takes a step and immediately disappears. A young man from the back rows instructs everyone to stay within his circle, not to look back and not to touch anyone in order to stay alive. The crowd froze in anticipation. However, 2 minutes later, a light came on in the heart of the car and pierced this guy to death. An instant panic begins. The man in the cap notices that the arrow on the floor is glowing in accordance with the direction of his hand. It turns out that everyone sees their arrow on the floor, from which people conclude that they themselves choose who will die next. After the death of several more people, it was decided not to vote. This method did not work and in the end it still caused the death of a person. A young man in a sweatshirt offers to vote for old people 70 to 80 years old, since they have already lived their lives, and their death will give them extra time to find out what is really going on in the room. At each countdown, people vote for the elderly clockwise. At this time, everyone is trying to remember any details before they got here. It turns out that they were all in traffic on the same street. One guy remembers an alien ship and a beam of light picking him up. However, he can't remember any aliens. An old man tells him that he has seen aliens, begins to describe them, but no one believes him and the choice of voting falls on him. All the old people are dead and the guy in the sweatshirt offers to kill a woman over 50, and then people over 40 and so on. Society is dissatisfied with this way of life and votes against the guy. A woman over 50 suggests that they are all here for a reason, they probably have something in common. Therefore, everyone should briefly tell about themselves. A woman named Beth starts first. She finishes her short story about herself and the mechanism shoots her. A man named Craig is called next. He says that his wife is standing to his left and asks not to kill her. Next, people will find out that another couple of people in this room know each other. The policeman in the room also recognizes one man named Raoul. Once he arrested him for beating a girl and is sure that this was not an isolated case. To which Raoul replied that the girl got what she deserved. Of course, the choice of the majority fell on him. A dark-skinned guy suddenly puts forward the theory that all blacks are being killed and is looking for support from people like him. However, people do not agree with him, because, obviously, the car does not look at the color of the skin, since quite a lot of white people died. Here a policeman gets involved and begins to accuse the blacks of pretending to be disadvantaged in order to extract money from the state. 2 minutes pass and the mechanism kills him. It becomes clear that they will achieve nothing by talking about themselves and it's time to come up with a new strategy. They can't vote for themselves, so it was decided for everyone to vote for the one on the right, so that in the end there would be a draw by the number of votes. The car kills a random person and people try to turn this move again, blaming it on someone's inattention. As a result of the second vote, 2 people received the same number of votes. The crowd made their choice and the man died. Everyone comes to the conclusion that in the end there will be only one survivor in the room. There is a little girl and a pregnant woman in the room. It was decided that one of them should remain. According to the results of the voting, a girl and a woman standing next to her were chosen. As a result, the girl remains alive. Voting begins again and this time the arrows of the mechanism show 3 at once. A pregnant woman, a girl and a guy behind them. This time the mechanism kills the man. Someone in the crowd asks if there are any volunteers among them to die. 16-year-old guy Sean responds and says that he is ready to leave the circle, since he does not want to kill anyone. Some people start protesting, because he is still a child and does not understand at all what he is doing. However, other men disagree with this, saying that it will be easier for everyone. A dark-skinned man in a suit volunteers instead of a teenager. He turns around and takes a step out of the circle. After that, Sean is asked again if he wants to volunteer again. The guy agrees and also takes a step out of the circle. Everyone starts looking at the military, and the man says that he just arrived from the point of hostilities, fighting for their lives. He is going to his wife and infant, whom he has not seen for a long time. People decide not to vote for him. Time is running out and a woman is called the next volunteer. Her son crashed on a motorcycle a year ago. The man next to her assures her that she will soon meet him and the woman is leaving in peace. The man introduces himself as a priest and assures that her act does not go unnoticed. He claims that the Lord has his own plan and you just need to trust. A young man in a jacket is skeptical of faith, claiming that if God existed, they would not die one by one. Their God in this situation is the car in the center of the room. On emotions, he calls all believers idiots, and the crowd is angry. The guy immediately tries to justify himself, but the arrow of the mechanism points not only to him, but also at the quiet girl. She says she didn't do anything wrong, but in the end the car kills her. The same guy in a sweatshirt suddenly talks to a girl standing nearby and claims to have seen her in adult movies. Accuses her of destroying families and breast augmentation, but the timer is coming to an end and the guy dies. There is a conversation about children in the crowd, and the old man with glasses believes that those who have no children should volunteer. A man in a tie asks a random woman if she has children and then asks what her husband is doing. A woman tells the story of her life and admits that she lives with a woman, not a man. A man in a tie begins to say that raising a child in a same-sex family is wrong, but people do not support him and accuse him of homophobia, which has long been irrelevant. The count comes to an end and a beam of light pierces it. The room begins to talk about what will happen when there are only two people left. Someone will have to sacrifice themselves. And if a pregnant and a little girl stays at the end, it will be a difficult choice, so they decide to choose for them. People do not have time to vote and the mechanism kills two people at once, a familiar couple. An old man with glasses asks the pregnant woman what she does in life and people begin to protest against the career criterion. However, the man explains that career is not as important as contribution to society. He himself works in a bank and gives people loans to make their dreams come true. It becomes clear that a new strategy is needed. They need to choose the criterion by which they will vote. Opinions in the room are divided. One group led by an old man with glasses believes that it is necessary to kill a girl and a pregnant woman, because they are people like them. Others believe that they are a child and a pregnant woman should survive. Voting begins and the choice is between a girl and a man. The man decides to sacrifice himself and takes a step out of his circle. The old man with manipulate people's feelings and convince people to vote against the child. As a result, the arrow falls on him and on the girl. He desperately asks to kill the girl, but people do nothing and the mechanism kills the old man. Two groups of people are still arguing about the murder of the girl, but time is coming to an end, and they start voting for each other to buy time. At some point, there is a suspicion that the allegedly married couple is not really such. A man with long hair asks the girl for her husband's name, because he said it at the very beginning. The girl is crushed and then the man says that they came up with it to survive, but the instigator of the idea was a girl. People vote and the mechanism kills a man. A new vote begins and this time the choice falls by 5 at once. After the second vote, only one of them survives. This guy begins to convince the pregnant woman to vote against the child to save his own. The girl rushes in doubts and some young man apologizes to her and leaves the circle to save her. There are 6 people in the circle. A man with long hair convinces the wife of the deceased and silent man to vote for the girl. A woman votes, but a man doesn't. As a result, a woman dies. They notice that during all this time the man has never voted or said a word. The rest think that he is alive for this very reason and everyone votes for him. However, at the end of time, the one who started all this dies. There are 4 people left. Everyone votes against the man and there are only 3 left, a young guy, a child, and a pregnant girl. The rest begin to think why they do it with them. The guy thinks it's an experiment to understand human values and selection criteria. He says that girls have to make their own choices, and the little girl is called a volunteer. The young man praises her and says that he will step with her, but at the last moment he votes for the pregnant woman. He holds his breath and realizes with relief that he is the only survivor. However, nothing happens and he starts getting angry with the car. Suddenly, the arrow of the mechanism points at him and at the stomach of the deceased pregnant woman. It turns out that her child survived. A shot occurs and a man wakes up on the street. Round spaceships fly in the sky, one of which he apparently just visited. He goes further and joins a group of people watching alien objects.